Hey guys, this is about a 1940 Emerson 45041 DC Longnose ceiling fan. I got this fan from a friend in Louisiana who picked it up for me. I noticed it in a big scrap pile of fan motors, and I zoomed in. I said, "That looks like a DC Longnose," and sure enough, it was. And most amazingly, it worked just fine. Like, all the coils were fine. It had the snap switch. The snap switch worked on it. The brushes were good. It just needed a complete tear down, rewiring, refinishing. So this is just Krylon satin black with a satin clear coat on it, and primed as well beneath. And the blades were just completely covered in white paint, so I sanded them all the way down. I varnished them and lacquered them and shined them up a little bit. They look pretty good. So this fan, I mean, like I said, not many of these survived because everything went to AC and these were just kind of thrown out. But the way I was able to make this thing run on AC line voltage, I have a little full wave bridge rectifier hidden up in that canopy, and it's pretty cool because that's a pretty high capacity rectifier. It's rated 1,000 volts, 50 amps. I've got it even on a little aluminum heatsink, and it was able to fit up in that canopy just fine. So, without further ado, I'm going to use this tool from the era. This was made by a company that made these as rifle cleaning rods, as I understand. Trying to get a focus on that. But this is used to get the snap switch and turn your fan on and change the speeds. So let's start this thing up on high. And you will notice that was an immense amount of starting torque, to the point where you can kind of hear the blades creak a little bit. But this is a 56-inch fan. It's got a lot of mass to move around there, but it just starts right up in about a second, maybe a second and a half. But what's so cool and what's so surprising about this is you think, oh, a DC fan with commutators and brushes. This thing is very quiet. You don't hear any humming at all. There's no humming, there's no buzzing. It's just, super nice and quiet. The funny thing is, I tried to originally run this fan with a KBWC 15K Triac wall controller, and no matter how low we set the low speed in the trim pot, it didn't seem to slow down the fan at all. So I guess that style of controller, for whatever reason, didn't really seem to affect this fan very much. So when I restored this fan, I rewound the nichrome resistance stack with Kanthal wire, and I added about, 50% extra or so resistance. So between that and just controlling it with a snap switch, here's high speed, I'll go to medium. I was able to get some really nice speed drops from high to medium to low. So this is medium. This looks like about maybe 160 RPM or so. This is about what my current low is on that round nose upstairs. So this is very quiet, moves plenty of air. This is kind of your typical, daytime summer setting. Okay, so then if I go to low speed, it's going to drop it even more. And that's right about maybe 100 RPM or so, 110. It's enough to feel the breeze. It's a 56-inch fan, so it's got some big paddles there, moving air around. And this is kind of what you'd have just watching a movie, or in the winter time, or maybe later in the day when the sun isn't really beating down on the house so much. Yeah, just dead silent, very nice low speed. So let me see if I can get up on a table real quick. Get a look at the top of the motor. Okay, so you can see the commutator brush over there on the left. You've got terminals kind of in the middle and on the right. You've got those kind of pigtailed. And you've got your nichrome resistance coils stacked with a cover on it over there on the right. So definitely different proportions than an AC Longnose. You've got a smaller diameter but taller motor. You've got quite a bit more going on the top. You've got a much higher point where the down rod mounts. So before I had this fan in here, if you look at any of my other ceiling fan videos, you'll probably see the Chrome Hunter R52, 1941. That fan was on the same length down rod, a 2-foot down rod, chrome. But because the point where it mounted to the motor was, relatively speaking, the motor was shorter, the fan and the blades rode, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 inches higher than this. So this the way the motor is, it kind of drops it down a little bit, which is actually kind of nice in this room. I think it looks a little bit better like this. And I'm 6'4", and if I put my arm straight up, I can still not quite touch the blades, which is what I want, because if I'm in here and I'm feeling like working out or something, I don't want to worry about hitting my fan. Let's go back to high speed. Now, one thing to note is when I first put this fan up, there was a bit of a burning smell, like a burning oil smell or burning plastic smell on medium and low. And my friend and I took the speed coil stack apart and kind of looked at it, and we couldn't really find out what it was. All the heat produced by the Canthal wire was staying pretty far away from anything that might burn. But there was just some general oil in the motor that was burning off the brushes. I transported this fan mounted to a wooden, just like a round wooden base with a short pipe. I put all the work into painting this fan, and if I can transport in a way that doesn't risk scratching up the finish, that's what I'm going to do. But anyways, transporting like that caused any kind of oil I had in the fan while I was testing it to run upside down and all over the inside of the motor if I didn't get most of it off. So, the longer I run it, the less I smell that, and now I pretty much can't smell it at all. But just something to keep in mind with a DC fan, you're going to have that issue where you wouldn't really have that so much with an AC fan. All right, guys, glad to say I have the only, as of now, video on YouTube of this particular fan model. So that's kind of cool. This was a really rewarding fan to restore and to find, first of all, and to restore and have it working. This is the first DC fan I've ever worked on, a ceiling fan or a portable fan. So I got that kind of figured out. But now with it finally installed and running, I really couldn't be happier with how it runs. It's perfectly balanced. It's super quiet, so much quieter than I was expecting. Great speed differentiation, a very unique fan, and it matches the one I have up here. This is the 32-inch Longnose from 1930 that I restored about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. I hung this right after Christmas of, early in 2021, basically. Same paint, satin black. I think the wood stain on the blades is a little bit different, but it's close enough. All right, guys, thanks for watching.